Hey guys, welcome to Vibe with Steph, the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back to the new and improved podcast. It's been a couple years, actually, about a couple years since I've recorded anything. It's been a journey. It's been so much going on from freaking COVID. We have a pandemic, a whole goddamn worldwide crisis. From to kids virtual learning for the last couple years, and now trying to acclimate back to in-person learning, people quitting their jobs. They are now calling it the Great Resignation. Stimulus checks, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, just been so much going on. I can't even begin to list everything, but everybody has a story about that. Everybody has their sentiments. It's a whole goddamn, it's about to be a whole civil war with the vaxxed versus unvaxxed. It's a lot going on. Socially, there's been a shift. Politically, I wouldn't say so much a shift, but more so, transparency and people seeing things for what it is. Everybody's always at war with themselves or with other people. But I'm glad people are starting to think outside the box, think for themselves, think differently, myself included. The last couple years have been a time where I've been reflecting on myself, my family, my job, what I like to do, what I love to do, what I don't want to do, saying no, saying yes to things that fulfill me. Actually listening. So much has changed in the last couple of years. I got divorced. I'm actually legally divorced now. Changed my last name and everything. I moved back to my hometown of Jersey City. I've even co-hosted a podcast, Pod and Us Podcast. You can follow them on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everything. Shout out to my guys, Joe and Guy. Miss y'all. That was a fun experience as well. Just doing things I've never done. I had to take care of my health. Sometimes people think, oh, just because you're not overweight or fat or whatever, people want to call it, that your health is fine. But, there's a lot of things that happen internally. So I had to take a break from a lot of things that, I was doing, things that were taking my energy, and I had to prioritize and reprioritize. I met somebody, an amazing man who's definitely, changed my life, definitely, made me think differently, made me reflect, made me be able to share my story without feeling bad, without feeling guilty, without feeling resentful or being full of regret. I've learned so much from him, and it's definitely a different stage of my life where, I was with somebody for so many years, married, had a family, and I was very young. And then going back outside into the world and seeing the options and not even, trying to actively date or see anybody, just kind of trying to get my life together, and in that process of trying to get my life together, meeting someone who also was trying to get their life together. I'm sure, and I like to think that, we meet people when we're supposed to. You meet people exactly where you're supposed to. Call it perfect timing, call it whatever it may be, but sometimes we are part of other people's journeys in that time of their lives, and during this last couple of years, I've lost friends, I've lost relationships, some for the best, others I've had to rekindle or have rekindled, and being able to reflect on those relationships and seeing where I can do better for the future, or how I can rehabilitate those same relationships, because as much as I'd like to admit I'm the same person I was before, my core has been the same, but the outer, it reflects differently, and I know a lot of people say, does marriage change things if you've been with somebody for so long? And I always like to say no, but in reality, it actually does change things. Maybe it doesn't change things on the outside, and legally or on paper or by law things are changed, but relationships do something to you differently, like not even just being together for many years, like the actual act of marriage is definitely changes people, because soul ties are so real. They're so real. I'll talk about that in another episode. But I thank you so much to everybody who's just been so supportive of my journey, of reaching out, people that I least expected it, people I even know listen to my podcast, people who have requested that I do this again, people still listening to old episodes. I had to listen to some old episodes, and I was just like, wow, just, I guess I want to say I hear it in my voice, the difference, you know what I mean? I've always been a very positive person, and it came to a point where I was like, well, damn, is there like is there such thing as toxic positivity? Because shit, I feel like at one point of a lot of time in my life, that's what I was living, toxic positivity. It's always one thing to say, we have to change the way we think and the way we say things, but it comes a point where we have to also learn how to process those negative emotions, and for so much of my life, I didn't know how to process negative emotions, and they're important. They're so important, because neglecting those negative emotions, it makes you not be able to really process parts of life, I'm not sure if I've ever shared when I lost my grandmother back in a few years ago. It was the first time I dealt with grief. That's a negative emotion, and it was so overwhelming, so very overwhelming. I feel like in the process of my separation, divorce, and the last 5 to 6 years, I've really had to face those negative emotions, and I just didn't know how to process that. You know what I mean? To a point where I basically, because I had a mental breakdown back in January 2020. That was definitely a life-changing point in my life. It was a lot, I mean, mentally, I wasn't there. There were so many things I wanted to do and I just couldn't do. Transparent moment, I definitely did check myself into an outpatient place for my mental health, because I became so overwhelmed with all the feelings that I had within myself, because I didn't know how to process them. I mean, I didn't feel suicidal or anything like that. It was just like a volcano ready to like erupt, you know what I mean? And I didn't know what to do. I just was like, I didn't even know how to express how I felt. I remember going to a place nearby, and I think I told a friend of mine what I was going through, and I tried my very best to explain how I was feeling. And she referred me to a place actually in walking distance from my house. And I called and made an appointment. I was able to go. And when I sat with the therapist, it was actually very, very amazing. The people at this place were so amazing. It was very small, but it felt like a safe place. And I remember sitting with the therapist, and I just sat down, and I didn't know where to start. I just was crying, and she let me cry, and I didn't know where to start. And everybody knows I'm a talker. I love to talk. I love to make people laugh. I've got a story for everything. Clearly, this is why I have a podcast, so I can run my mouth. But I didn't know. I was waiting for her to say something. How do you feel today? Or what's going on? I just started bawling, man. I really just started bawling. So that was about 2 years ago around this time. And it was just like all these emotions within me that I couldn't even talk. It's like sometimes when babies or kids or toddlers, they have these tantrums and you're like, use your words to talk, and they just are, they're just screaming or crying, and they don't even know how to say how they feel. They don't know how to even say it. Like, you're like talking, I don't know what to say. Are you mad? Are you angry? Are you what? And I just felt like I bursted. I just held so much in for so long. There were bits and pieces of on my podcast, or when I write, or do dance, or whatever, however I express myself, that it was just kind of like seeping, like it was just a little bit, just enough to kind of get out so that I didn't feel suffocated. But it wasn't, I was treating the symptoms, and I wasn't getting to the root. I don't do a podcast to monetize. I mean, it'd be great, it's nice. I don't write to make money. I don't do a podcast to make money. But it was therapy. It's very therapeutic. And just like I said, listening to those podcasts from before, reading my writing, reflecting on the last couple of years, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. And most importantly, we've had this COVID-19. It had actually, it came about right after, a couple months actually after I started going to therapy, which sucked. Like, after I checked myself into the outpatient place, kind of sucked because the world shut down in March. It was bizarre, but I was like, yes, I'm getting my mental health together, and now the world's shutting down. It was a shit show. But that time, it really, not only myself, but I think it really taught everybody to just slow the hell down. The world, we're just moving too fast for ourselves. And I mean, aside from me thinking that we are humans, we're going to cause our own destruction. That's a whole nother topic. I'll talk about that another time. I think with this whole pandemic, aside from it being what it is now, vaccines and governmental shit and checks and money and all that bullshit, like, if we really reflected back on when this whole thing started, we saw like a calming on the earth, a calming of our spirits, because businesses shut down. People couldn't go to work. Kids weren't in school. Places were closed. We couldn't go to restaurants. We couldn't go to movies. We couldn't do anything. Everything was closed. And we were forced to be with ourselves. We were forced to be home, be with our kids, be with ourselves, I mean, I definitely know, like, mental health was like suicide, drugs, drinking, all of people's vices, like, they definitely were highlighted, during this pandemic, especially in the beginning. But we figured out ways to have human connection, something that really changed. Well, something that really helped me was when my friends who I call family, somebody like my boy Ray, Party with Ray, follow him on Instagram. We started these video chats. It would be so many of us, and it was just it was so relieving just to see people. We would have our little parties online, and it was just us listening to music, talking crap, and getting to know each other. It was so funny that I met some people at the beginning of the pandemic over video, and then as time passed by and things started opening, I met them like in person. Somebody like Maria, I met her in person, and I only met her over like our Facebook videos or WhatsApp or whatever. And these are people that, they're so near and dear to my heart now, you know what I mean? But we figured out ways to have these human connections. We found ways to entertain ourselves. We cooked. People learned new recipes. People opened new businesses. And we had to really sit with ourselves, and there was nowhere to go. Really, there was nowhere to go. People, there was have our quote unquote essential workers who also it was a time for them to reflect on their lives, like, is this what I really want to do? People in the health field, nurses, doctors who are busting their ass, who still are busting their asses, working during this pandemic, police officers, firefighters, teachers who have to find ways to teach the kids online, teachers who are not tech savvy or older, or, this is not what they signed up for, I mean, in a medical field, it's one thing. Nurses are, they and doctors and everybody in that field, they, not to say they expect to, deal with something to this capacity, but, it shouldn't have been like a surprise. People are sick, and maybe the numbers were crazy, and it was overwhelming, the hours and all of that stuff, and I don't want to say that's what they signed up for, but because that wouldn't be right to say, because they were so overwhelmed. People were quitting, and just seeing so many sick people, so many people dying and all that stuff. But I know something like teachers, they've never signed up to teach online on the computer virtually, have to learn how to use technology and all that stuff. That was definitely something that I don't think they signed up for. They signed up to teach in person in school with kids in front of them and things like that. So I know that they especially had it hard. So big shout out to teachers. All my friends are the teachers, my kids teachers, everybody. And I know it's definitely overwhelming now, where they're trying to adjust to this, back to in-person learning, because everybody's so paranoid. Kids can't even go to school without coughing. It's a shit show. And definitely still big shout out to doctors, nurses, everybody works in hospitals, the staff, even administration. I know there's a whole big controversy now because they were being forced or mandated to get vaccines and stuff like that, and they've been working in hospitals. A lot of them, who have quit, who have been let go for non-compliance and stuff like that. It's definitely it's a lot going on, definitely a lot. And I mean, I appreciate them so much. You know what I mean? I definitely could never be in that field, ever. Like, ever. I can't even see the sight of blood. I cannot. But my hat goes off to you guys. They definitely need to freaking be paid more. Right along with right along with teachers, doctors, all those people, like, everybody, even the goddamn people that work at the grocery stores. Like, seriously, like, I don't even know how, they were able to get through, or just, just shit that we had to go through, being open, being in contact with so many people, and being afraid to, get sick or anything like that. Because, I mean, regardless of how we think COVID got here, or, myself included, I have a whole conspiracy theory on, like, how the hell this shit got here. But, and I've had COVID twice myself. Regardless of how, we think it got here, or the experiment, or whatever shit, we think, like, people are really getting sick, or we're getting sick to the point of dying. I've lost a couple friends to COVID. Rest in peace, LK. I miss you, girl, so much. One of my somebody hold near and dear to me, Lauren. We lost her during COVID, and although that was a little bit closer to, I don't want to say the end, but a little bit more recent than when COVID started, she always reached out to me, even if we weren't really super close. She always reached out to me about, regarding the kids. How are the kids? How was I doing? And I appreciated that the most, because, if we felt alone, I know I felt alone in just life, after, especially after being separated, and going through what I went through with my kids. It feels like a lonely road. But with the pandemic, shit, it really felt lonely, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? It's like we had to adjust to life, but at the same time, as we're dealing with ourselves, things like nature was flourishing, things were feeling less polluted, because people weren't driving, airplane, people weren't going anywhere, so that climate change and stuff, it definitely was a shift, because we were forced to stay home. At the same time, we were just really not exposed to germs, so I feel like people are getting sick more like faster than they would before, because we weren't exposed to germs like we were before. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not a medical professional, so don't take my word of advice for anything. That's just my my conspiring way of thinking. But yeah, my kids and I have gotten closer. I mean, we went through some shit, and then we got over it, and then we dealt with new shit, and then it's been a constant evolution in the last couple years. Definitely, like I said, uh a big thank you or fuck you to the pandemic. But it was almost like it definitely was a spiritual shift in the world, socially, physically, just things like that. I know there was a time when freaking bikes were like sold out. People wanted to ride their bikes everywhere. I remember that one. And 'cause people wanted to exercise in different ways. Yeah, I never did the whole let me exercise during the pandemic. It wasn't. I never got motivated to do that. Like, who was in that group of let me get fit during the pandemic? Or there was the other group of let me learn how to cook during the pandemic. That was pretty cool. I don't even want to talk about cooking right now, because shit, food is so expensive right now. It's ridiculous. Like, when we were like go outside to like eat, we go to eat outside, and we're like, you tell your parents, let's eat. I want to eat outside. And then they'll be like, oh, there's food in the house. Like, hay comida en la casa. Like, nah, bro. Like, I feel like eating outside is almost cheaper or the same price. Like, God damn, we're talking about gas prices going up, but shit, milk, cheese, bread, they've always been pricey. But man, I used to be able to stretch like $50, and now I feel like I'm just leaving with like 5 items. Yeah, like that's one of those things during the pandemic that I'm like, what the hell? This really sucks. But I must say, I'm very thankful for like food deliveries, like Amazon Fresh, uh, Instacart, all that good stuff. I love it. There was in the last couple of years too, there have been the online shoppers. We definitely have kept like these Amazon primers. I'm one of them. We've definitely kept Amazon in business, UPS, FedEx. I hate FedEx still. I still hate FedEx. Worked on our house projects. What else? My son graduated 8th grade during the pandemic. That was fun. I think he graduated. That was a shit show too. It was so weird. It was definitely strange. But he's in high school now. I want to say he's flourishing, but teenagers are assholes. My oldest is about to be 15. Elijah definitely grew mad inches during the last couple of years. He's like 5'9", 5'10", taller than me. His voice is whoa. And then my daughter, the baby, she's 10 and she thinks she's like 18. I cannot. She's tall. She's 5 feet, wearing my clothes. It's a mess. And then there's Noah, who's this is my baby. He's the middle one, but he's near and dear to my heart. He just be minding his business. He's definitely a thinker. I know more recently I've been able to talk to him, and just know the way he thinks or learn the way he thinks. Sometimes people say, oh, the middle one's the troubled one, but he's special. I mean, all my kids are special to me in different ways, but sometimes you don't know how to connect with a certain kid if you're a parent of multiples. And all my kids are so close in age, and I see their personalities so different, and I'm like, were you guys all raised by me? Like, because y'all, this is a lot. You wouldn't think they were all raised in the same house, but all their personalities are so different. And I'm just blessed that, right now I'm 34. I'm about to be 35 in November. 34, and my kids are, they have me as a mom now in a healthier state of mind. You know what I mean? It's better for them, I mean, we have our, I'm still learning. I've never had kids this age before, so they do understand that, but we've done a lot more talking. That way we can learn, I tell my kids, as I was saying before, going back into those emotions. I don't want my kids, especially during this pandemic where, they talk about depression and childhood depression and kids being so prone to like depression because they haven't been around kids and they're home, or there's not really much. Now things are opening up, but before there really wasn't much to do. So they, not just adults, but kids were just sinking into this depression. You know what I mean? So it was so important for us to talk, and I didn't want them to be like me where they couldn't process negative emotions. You know what I mean? Because hello, I'm now about in my 30s and I'm just learning how to, what's the word? Feel sad and be able to really know what that feels like and process it and work my way through it. Or anger. I don't want my kids to just feel like they always have to be forced to be happy, because that's fake. I mean, maybe you're not being fake, but that, like I said, that fake positivity or that toxic positivity, as we want to call it for sake of right now, it's great, but it's not going to help anybody. You know what I mean? Because like, when you're angry, like, how do you deal with that? If somebody breaks your heart, how do you deal with that? Let me tell you, I rather have dealt with heartbreak when I was younger than when I was an adult, because man, that shit hurts. You know what I mean? I told my kids all the time, like, I don't want them I want to protect them, but I also want them to experience things, because I'd rather them experience it now and we're able to talk, rather than them hide or never feel things or learn those things later on in life. Like I did, you know what I mean? But, in talking to my kids, I tell them, if you're going to be mad or if you're upset with me, you tell me. There's also a way to, express that anger or how you feel, because, we're not going to be disrespectful. Like, we're not going to do the disrespect, especially, like I said, like my oldest, he think he's big and bad and tough, and he's told me about myself before. We've had conversations, and I told him his feelings are valid. I'm never going to invalidate his feelings, but sometimes it's just a conversation. Well, why do you feel like that? Why? Like, did I do something? Like, let's talk about it. Because I'll be damned if my kid won't curse at me. Then we gonna square up. But even like I said, me dating, my kids have never seen me in that type of, life or experience, or I didn't know how to do it either, because hello, I never dated before. That's another topic for another day. But I never dated. So now imagine that now they've only seen me with their dad, and that wasn't very healthy relationship. But now how do I navigate dating? I didn't want to. And they actually at one time told me, Mom, you probably should go dating. Because I'm like, what? Yeah, my kids put that on me. I'm going to talk about that one day too. But, and communicating with my kids and being able to tell them how to, make sure, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to do these things, because, we're raising the future. We're raising the future, raising young adults. Yes, they are the future, but I don't want to raise a self-entitled asshole either. I don't want to raise a robot. I don't want to raise I want to raise well-rounded people, humans. You can't teach feelings, you can't teach emotions. That's something I learned. It's only something that's going to happen through experience. And I feel like my job as my kid's mom is to show them or tell them or teach them and make them aware and secure to be able to say, I do feel sad. I mean, I've never, when I was a kid, I never cried in front of my parents. I definitely was an adult, like 27. I think the first time I cried in front of my parents was like, when I like had to live with them, because like I split from my ex-husband and I lived with them, and I cried in front of my parents for like the first time. It was hard. And then I didn't even know what to say. I felt embarrassed to cry in front of my parents. Imagine, I never want my kids to feel that way, ever. Like, it's I don't want them to be little freaking soft as, little bitches, but I want them to know that it's okay to cry. You know what I mean? Because it's healthy. You know what I mean? Tell me why. Let's work this out together. And I feel like I should talk about maybe another episode. I'll like expound on it, but there's that show, This Is Us. My daughter actually put me on. Yeah, Netflix has been another big helper during this pandemic. Because I'm not a TV person. Like, I don't really watch shows. I'm not good at it. I just don't pay attention, or pay attention in bits, or I try to like read what happens online to see what happened in the episode or what happens at the end, and then fill it in the middle. But anyway, I watched This Is Us, and I saw it like a few months ago actually, and my daughter tried telling me that it was great, and it reminded her of our family. For a lot, let me tell you, a lot of the situations, a lot of the things definitely were so relatable for the most part. I want to say like 90%, aside from like the main character, like the mom. She was like in the military. I was not. She had 2 kids after, but a lot of the issues were definitely relatable, and something that I learned that actually did, and that was just confirmation that I was doing a good job, was like the mother was talking to her kids about her, mental health, and taking medications and stuff like that, because it was embarrassing. I mean, we're now in a time where it's becoming less taboo, less of a stigma. But like I said, in the episodes, there were episodes where the mom was hiding that, her mental health. She wanted to just be the strong one. She had anxiety, depression, PTSD, which I actually have myself. Which, like I said, I told my kids that I didn't want them to feel like, medication is bad, or people have their vices, and people definitely do abuse those things, but they're there to help, and even in like I said, in the show, the mother shared those things with her family, and it was able to help her kids, you know what I mean, because they were suffering through those things too. As much as adults, parents, mentors, we want to be examples to other people. I think the best example is to show them how human we really are. To show them, I hurt too, and I'm not really sure how to deal with this, or this is how I'm dealing with it, or I think this is how I should be dealing with it. I think, as I said, and This Is Us, as the mother, although she was this strong Latina, taking care of her kids, and her mom was awesome. She was like the abuela of the house, the matriarch, these strong women. The episodes that made me cry and really heartfelt were the ones that they just showed how much they were human. And when the kids saw that, you definitely see the closeness, the bonds, and the growth of not only the person or the character in the show, but within the unit. I feel like my kids and I, because we're a little bit more transparent, and they're able to share those things with me. We did grow as a unit, you know what I mean? And having those honest moments. I just always felt like, my kids are too young. That's nothing they should hear or listen to, or that's not their business. And, definitely things when it's age appropriate, that to their level of understanding. And my kids are pretty mature with that stuff, but I think once I was able to show them more of my humanness, we were able to grow from those conversations, from those moments. And from my daughter telling me, like, my daughter had a panic attack. She's 10. Fifth graders are assholes. Listen, I tell you, 10-year-old girl, they're freaking bitches, man. And my daughter having a literal panic attack in 5th grade, where she was able to share that with me, you know what I mean? And because of that same show, This Is Us, is so much similarities, but we were able to have those conversations, you know what I mean? And I mean, it was definitely an adjustment for her, for, going back to school in person. Because as I said, I moved back to Jersey City, and right before COVID hit, and then they were only here for a few months in a new school where they knew nobody, and then school shuts down, and now they're online and they know nobody. And then because we can't go outside, we can't do things, there's really no way for my kids to meet people until, as time passed by, they opened up parks and stuff that they were able to meet people. But definitely a lot of anxiety going back to school. And 5th grade is such a freaking monumental grade. Over here, there's 5th grade is like they're the oldest in the school, and then they go to middle school, which then I know is in, and he's there by himself. Yeah, I have 3 kids in 3 different schools, because one's in high school, middle school, and the grammar school. So now they're all going to schools by themselves. There's no, I don't pick up my brother or my sister. It's a lot socially, and now you're like the new kid again, but then everybody's really the new kid, and whatchamacallit. Yeah, this pandemia, definitely has been, I mean, it's definitely been a curse. It's been a shit show, but it's definitely a blessing in disguise. There's been, a lot of, like I said, a lot of governmental stuff that's changed. We've had shit like Donald Trump is the president, then he's not. Mayors, governors, even my like a local level, like the shit Jersey City's going through before, after, it's a lot. Seeing people's true colors, seeing how people really feel, learning how to not pass judgment. There's a bunch of stuff, man. So much. And I honestly, guys, I think this is something that motivated me to start the podcast again. With no fancy things. I don't have a special microphone. I don't have any special devices or anything like that. It's just me. I'm in my bedroom on a cold winter night as it snows, because it really is snowing, and just reflecting. I had so many things. I was writing things down. I'm trying to figure out how am I gonna start this episode, and I'm like, I don't have a microphone, I don't have anything, what do I really do? And I just decided to go for it. But in saying that, I'm gonna just go to a real quick commercial break, because I mentioned podcasting and microphones and shit like that. So I'm gonna put this real quick commercial on, sponsor, all that good stuff. So just give me about 30 seconds, a minute, I'll be right back. Give me that little commercial right in between the show. Yeah, man, I talk a lot shit. I had a topic to talk about for the relaunch episode, but I guess that's a recap. It's a long ass recap. It's been a couple years, there's a lot going on, and there was a lot going on, and I've learned from so many experiences, and I'm still learning. There was even a freaking recent experience, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought I wasn't like this anymore. And, just some self-sabotaging shit. Again, another episode. I'm writing this stuff down, things I should talk about later on. If you know of anything I should actually, or you have an idea of what I should talk about, or you want to come talk with me, have a conversation, let's record it, put it on the internet, send me a message. Let me know. There's literally so much stuff we could talk about, so many things that, I sometimes I feel like I'm talking to my girls, my people, my friends, my family, and I'm just like, damn, I wish I could have just pressed record and recorded it, because that would have been a dope ass podcast episode. And like I said, I'm not doing this to monetize or whatever it may be, just sharing my thoughts, man, showing my thoughts. And it's, like I said, it's so therapeutic, and I'm able to get it out, man. This freaking pandemic has been lonely, just talking to nobody. I went back to journaling, writing. I'm on Medium. I'm gonna put my link on this show somewhere. I'm not really sure how to use it yet, or I'm still learning how to use it. Y'all see the cover, and I put myself. That's my favorite picture I took of myself. That's when me and the guys were taking pictures for the podcast, and I literally put the phone in the car and I just took a selfie. Best selfie ever. Thank you, iPhone. Yeah, I guess got the best picture. Yeah, I don't claim to be a guru or an expert of anything. I'm just literally living my life. I'm a love giver. I'm a giver of love. I'm a producer of the vibes. Oh yeah, guys, I joined the promoter team during the pandemic, which actually was one of the best things I've probably ever done. A very great decision. I've met so many amazing people being with the Get Down. Follow us on Instagram, the Get Down New Jersey. I'll also put that in the link somewhere. Probably have some of us on the show one day. Yeah, I did that because music is therapy, man. Music is, oh my God, it's change your life. Almost don't Don't tell me how you feel. Send me a song, and that'll tell me how you feel. You know what I mean? But my love for house music, techno, like, it's just grown. I'm very eclectic with my music. I like everything. But just the people that I've met on this scene have been amazing. I mean, I've met some assholes, met some people I really don't love, but for the most part, I met such amazing people. Yeah, so grateful for that. So grateful for that. It's opened so many opportunities, so many networking connections. Like I said, I've met so much amazing people. Mars, Bobby, Aunt Lee, Francisco, the producer, Mr. Rivas, and people that I've known before. There's so many people. I can't even shout you all out because there's a whole list. But yeah, man, just this motivation is I'm so glad that I got it back. And thank you so much again for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me just ramble. It's just me. I ain't got nobody else on here. I've got so many different topics to talk about and write about. Content creation. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to throw some questions up there. Let's see where this goes. I'm super excited for 2022. And I am looking forward to more people that I meet, a journey, parenting, work, business opportunities, fun, leisure, travel, entertainment, all of it. And most importantly, listen, before somebody tells you that they're proud of you, you'll be proud of yourself. I've had so many people tell me, I'm proud of you, Steph. I'm proud of you. Listen, I was not proud of myself. I mean, I've done some things I'm not proud of, and I definitely say I held that, oh my God, I felt guilty for a lot of things, but, like I said, telling my story and knowing my story and not being ashamed of it, I can really sit down and tell you to your face, I'm very proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. I'm maybe not exactly where I want to be, everywhere in life, but just the milestones, the journey, just, man, like I said before I stopped recording, where I was and where I am now, it's like night and day. I don't do none of that fake positivity no more. If I'm mad, I'm gonna be mad, and of course I'm gonna use words of positive words and all that stuff. But I feel my emotions now. Are still things that I'm still learning how to feel or process. I'm learning. I mean, definitely I'm a late bloomer when it comes to those things. But I'm willing to learn. My intentions are to be better, because I do have kids, because I do want to, not die being a piece of shit. God, if I've not achieved all my goals in life before I leave this earth, I definitely just want to say, I want to know that I was a positive impact to, even if it wasn't my kids, even if my kids think I'm a shitty person, I feel like I just want to be a positive impact to somebody, anybody, whether it be to check yourself into an outpatient, inpatient, get your medication. If you got to leave the damn church you're at, do that. That's another episode. If you have to leave the toxic marriage relationship that you're in, leave it. If you have to leave your job, leave it. Because these are things that we don't take with us. And we can't function in our full selves if we are just literally we're just living. And like I said, the pandemic that we're, as we said, it's an endemic now. Oh my God, but this pandemic has definitely taught us to pause. I put an Instagram post up the other day, and it talks about practicing the pause, and I'm gonna leave you guys with this. It says, practice the pause before judging, pause before assuming, pause before accusing, pause whenever you're about to react harshly, and you avoid doing and saying things you'll later regret. That was by Lori Deshane. I gotta research her, see exactly who she is. If y'all know who she is, can y'all write something? I'm gonna Google her, because I don't like to talk about shit I don't know. But that quote meant, it really made a big impact on me, because at the very least, if it wasn't for this pandemic, I think I was already on that journey of pausing or stopping and smelling the roses. That was actually my last podcast that I actually recorded, stopping and smelling the roses. Literally, I think I was forced to, and a lot of us were forced to pause, to stop and smell the roses. So I encourage you guys. I'm encouraging myself. Let's practice the pause in 2022. When we pause, we're able to reflect on before our past, where we are now. Writing shit down, like literally when we're physically moving and doing so much, we literally are not stopping. If we pause, we can actually write, like really write, like put our phone down and write, like pick up a pen and paper and write shit down. When we practice the pause, we're able to listen to other people and hear. Also another thing I'm learning to do, listen to, like, don't just listen to respond, like listen to learn. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Thank you so much for listening to the Relaunch Vibe with Steph, the podcast. I'm so excited to finally just do it. Shit, I've been hesitating. I've been like not knowing exactly where to start, what to say, but I just pressed start and I went. It comes naturally, I guess. I guess it is natural. It's a thing. It's one of my many gifts. I got the gift of gab. So thankful for that. Think I get it from my mama and my daddy. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm gonna have like some kind of subscribe link or something like that to add you guys to email blast. I don't know yet. But just get the word out. Share this episode. Send me something. Write something nice. Send some money. I don't know. Maybe I can get a better like phone or equipment or whatever the hell it is that I need to make my podcast sound nicer. How have you guys been doing in the last couple of years? What have you learned? Have you grown? Have you done something differently? Have you left something? Have you started something new? Let me know. Get back to me. Thank you so much for vibing with Steph, and I am looking forward to chatting to you guys next time. Bye.